Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Peter's Passion. So today's video we are going to be talking about the bed that was returned back to Zimbabwe. But before we do that, we will just watch a video here, then we can talk about it.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa today received the Zimbabwe bird and ancestral human remains that were repatriated from South Africa. The repatriation took place after a directive issued by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. South Africa's Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, officially handed over the artifacts to President Mnangagwa at State House in Harare this Wednesday. The president said this was a historic moment that will be etched in the country's history, describing the Zimbabwe bird as a vital cog in the country's soul. Our reporter Ibn Mabunda was at State House.
Now, President Emmerson Mnangagwa presided over.
So first of all, before we go any further, I would like you to know that this is not just a bed. It's something beyond what you think. Let's continue.
The receiving ceremony of the Zimbabwe bird from Cape Town, South Africa, here at the State House, where he said the return of the Zimbabwe bird is indicative of Zimbabwe's post-colonial victory and the celebration of Zimbabwe's fortification 46 years after independence.
It is opportune that this ceremony is occurring a few days before the 46th Independence Day anniversary. Profound joy and triumphant closure envelop the nation as we welcome home our ancestral relics consisting of the Chapungu, being the 8th and the last soapstone great Zimbabwe bird. Congratulations.
The president also expressed gratitude to the South African government.
So as you have heard from the news, it says there were remains also that were in South Africa and the bird returned to Zimbabwe. So let's just continue with the video a bit, then we'll go to the next chapter.
For what he described as a strong demonstration of Pan-African solidarity.
So, the cooperation of our brothers in South Africa in the repatriation of the Zimbabwe bird demonstrates the power of...
So you see here it says ancestral remains returned home.
Of Pan-African solidarity.
South Africa's Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, who handed over the artifacts on behalf of President Cyril Ramaphosa, emphasized the spirit of regional cooperation and unity between the two nations.
His Excellency Vatamela Cyril Ramaphosa gave me...
So I don't want to get into what this guy was talking about. I just want to show you some pictures. I have something to say about all this. That's why I'm showing you this. So this was the day it was brought. Same day. 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 Same day, same day, same day, the fuel that is used to move this vehicle here. So I want you to think of it. Look at the cost to bring back this bird home and what was done when it was brought back home, the cost of moving these vehicles, the cost of flying planes. All these government officials used petrol, used fuel, they used money to come to this event. Even these people were paid to dance for this event. Look how it's held. carefully. Even doves was there. I'm sure these are the remains that were being spoken of. So a quick question to you. Do you think this is just a normal bed? Do you think this is just a stone, or something big has returned back home? Consider all the cost, the petrol, the people that were paid to organize this event, the people from South Africa that traveled, their costs to return the bed, and you just call it a stone. Now I want you to notice something. Each and every country, or most of the countries in the world, has a spiritual animal that runs the country. A spiritual animal that controls the country. They call it national animal. You can Google this. Just Google national animals. You see America has an eagle, China has a deer, and all these kind of things. And Zimbabwe has this bird. South Africa, I think it has a springbok or something like that. Kenya has a lion. All these other countries has a national animal. And if the national animal is not in its country, in its original country, nothing happens in that country, because the country has been spiritually captured. I want you to notice something. This has nothing to do with God, of course. It's the things of the world. So Zimbabwe was in the pockets of South Africa, but since this bird was released, something huge is going to take place in Zimbabwe. This is good news. This is good news for those who wanted Zimbabwe to become successful, who wanted Zimbabwe to become the breadbasket of Africa again. This is it. So these spiritual animals, they govern countries, they run countries. So if it's captured, if it's stolen, if it's hidden, your country is not covered spiritually. There's a reason why Satan is called the God of this world. He runs the world, he runs the countries of the world with a system that has been planned already. And each and every country has an angel from the kingdom of darkness that runs the country. That might be that spiritual animal. Like I said in my previous video, angels can take any shape or any form of any animal they want. So depending on the characteristics of that animal, or what that animal is capable of doing, that's exactly what that angel will be doing in that specific country. So if you know what kind of a bird this is, just find out what it does. And once you find out what this bird does, then you are going to know what's going to happen now that the bird has returned. So this bird was returned back home when? Last month. And I will show you already what's happening now. But one thing I have to tell you, whenever you see me coming here, I'm not coming here to praise the devil. I'm not coming here to only talk about the things of the world. I'm coming here to talk and exalt God. Because the Bible says, in whatever you do or say, do all to the glory of God. So I'm in no way glorifying God for the returning of this bird. No. The returning of this bird will revive the economy of Zimbabwe. Mark my words. From that day onwards, you will see Zimbabwe changing. And we are already seeing the changes. But it is sad, it is good for those who wanted the economy of Zimbabwe to be revived, but it is bad for the godly, because sin has entered into your own country. There is no country that gets successful without increasing in sin. Wickedness must take place in Zimbabwe for the country to be revived. So the more the country gets richer, the more wicked it becomes, the more sinful it becomes. You will see, because now the investors will be coming back, and the investors will be bringing back their gods in the country. Some of them will be homosexuals, and they will be sleeping with men in the country. So, and whoever is going to sleep with these homosexuals is going to get what I would like to call STDs. Not sexual transmitted diseases, no, sexual transmitted demons. So if now there are sexual transmitted demons, just know whoever that person is going to sleep with is going to also sexually transmit demons. So that's how demons will be spread into each and every province of Zimbabwe. Because it works exactly as STDs work. If a man gets STDs and they go and sleep with another person, that person will get STD. That person, if they go and sleep with another person, they get STDs. So this will not happen with diseases, and this will happen with demons. So STDs, sexual transmitted demons. So the returning of the bird is good for the economy, but it is not good for the godly, because the godly will suffer much sin. Some of the things you had, you will lose, because whenever the rich are coming into a country, the poor will lose. So congratulations to those who wanted Zimbabwe to be revived. But just know, if you are a believer, if you are a Christian, war is coming for you. It may not be physical war, but sinful war. Because once those rich people come into Zimbabwe, the investors, they will come in with their couches, they will advocate for human rights, they will do all sorts of things. The things you once rejected will be accepted. Just as we have been rejecting the idea of giving back the land to the whites, and now it has changed. Ever since the bird was brought back, white farmers are receiving their land back. Let me show you something here.
Our next story is from Zimbabwe. The country's economy is in turmoil, which is why it is seeking to mend ties with the West. As a part of this, Zimbabwe has made a major announcement. It will be returning 67 foreign-owned farms that were seized during a violent land grab. These owners come from 4 European countries: Denmark, Switzerland, Germany, and the Netherlands. The government will also be paying $146 million to compensation for these owners. This is a big move. It is an attempt to settle debts that have haunted the country for over 25 years. Zimbabwe is currently locked out of the global financial system. The country owes more than $13 billion in foreign debt. International lenders like the IMF and the World Bank have been very clear. They will not offer new loans or debt relief until Zimbabwe fixes its land disputes. By returning these farms, President Emmerson Mnangagwa is trying to show the world that Zimbabwe is a safe place to invest again. To understand the rift...
Back again at it. Look at how much was spent for the bird to be brought back. They spent thousands and thousands, and you think it's just a stone. And why did they have to wait for the bird to return? Because it was captured. Satan had withdrawn his fallen angel from helping Zimbabwe. There are fallen angels that help countries with certain things. Now that it has returned, you will see what I'm talking about. You will come back here again to watch this video. So as you can see, Zimbabwe is giving back 67 farms to the white farmers. It is good for the economy of Zimbabwe. And why is this happening? Because the bird has been released. Do you know, if each farm is to employ 200 people, and let's say the farms are just 60, and each farm is to employ 200 people, do you know how many people will be employed? That's 12,000 jobs created. But I know it's not going to be only 200 people employed. Some farms will have to employ more than 1,000 people, because these farms are not just small farms. They are huge farms. So if each farm is to employ 1,000 people, and they are, how many? 67 farms. How many people will be employed? That would be 67,000 people employed. And that will bring investors in. And that will bring other rich white people and the Europeans and the Americans and all these other countries will be coming back to Zimbabwe to invest. Because all these people have nowhere to invest their money. They are looking for new places and new countries to invest their money. Because when the country is building, when the country is growing, it is cheaper to buy a property in that country. So they will be flocking into Zimbabwe. The Radisson Hotel has already bought a land. They are going to have a Radisson Hotel in Zimbabwe. This tells you something. And I want you to know, all those rich people, when you see them coming back, they know what they are doing and they know the future because they have discussed with their master. These people have discussions. When you see rich people coming in, most of them, not all, most of them are with the kingdom of darkness. So they know the discussions that are being discussed about each and every country. And when you see them flocking into Zimbabwe, just know something is about to happen. And it has already begun. Now, these are pictures. I don't know how true they are, but here it says, Zimbabwe to return 67 farms seized from white farmers as government moves to repair relations with Western countries and attract investment. This is how they will attract investments in Zimbabwe. Because you know why? All the investors will see that Zimbabwe is now listening to America. So they will not take people's land again because they are again back to submitting to the West. So what is my opinion or what is my take on this case? I think it is good for white people to come back to Zimbabwe. Let's be honest, guys. Let's be humans, right? I'm in a human mode now, but I could be wrong in a human mode. Otherwise, in a spiritual mode, when I'm talking about godly stuff, I am unapologetic. But at this point, you can judge me. I may be wrong, but let's talk about it. The reason why me and you are in the diaspora right now, we are following white people and their businesses. How about if we have them back in our countries, back in Zimbabwe, and we can work from home? Isn't that good? Let's be honest, guys. Show me any country in Africa or elsewhere that is run by black people without the involvement of white people, and show me what it's doing so far. How good the country is without the involvement of white people. I know many of us will mention Burkina Faso, but reality is that Burkina Faso has not done any changes yet that we can say, here, this is a milestone. Of course, they are doing a few stuff, they are doing a few changes. But the honest truth is that as long as Africans don't invent things, we are still always going to work with white people, either we want it or not. If we don't want to work with them, then we are going to be stuck. Okay, let me talk to those who were in the 1800s or in the early 90s before I was born. How was the country? I know there was racism, I know there was oppression and all that, but to be honest, Zimbabwe was nice. I always listen to the people of that age when they are telling how good Zimbabwe was. They used to receive a pint of milk and bread and everything, butter and everything at their doorstep. Zimbabwe used to be neat and clean and nice. Why? Because the more investors the country has, the more the money that comes into the pockets of a country. Investors will push the government to rebuild roads. Investors will push the government to do railway lines. So I'm not saying this because I am political. I am not of any party. I am neutral. But what I do, whenever I see something happening, something nice, of course, I don't condemn it, no matter who it is coming from. I know most of us are fed up with the government. I know most of us are fed up. We don't even want to hear about these things. We don't even want to talk about ZANU-PF. But if I'm to tell you that yes, they contributed to the downfall of the country, but the real problem is black people. That's why I said, show me any country that is doing better without the involvement of white people. And why can't we build as black people? It's because this whole city life is not for us. We are still adopting another man's culture. This whole city life belongs to white people, and they are the only ones that can maintain it. Look at Harare. The buildings that were left by white people are still the same buildings that we have even now. Some roads are 100 years old. That's why you see there are old roads in Zimbabwe and there are potholes everywhere, because those roads are 100 years old. So this is happening, guys. As an Uber driver, I have picked up a few white people who were telling me that they are in a group of white people that wants to go back to Zimbabwe. So I'm not racist. They are welcome back. What I don't want is oppression when they come back. What I don't want is racism when they come back. That is the sad part that we are not going to escape. Some of you have built already in those farms and you will lose your land. Get ready. If you are already established in a place that was a farm of a white man, just know there's a possibility that you may be kicked out. But of course, maybe some white farmers will be good, will build for you houses and all that. Or they will push the government to do that, because they will be now the ones fighting for your rights. But anyway, as I was saying, each and every country has a spiritual animal. It is the same thing with totems. Totems are not as physical as you think. And I'll show you how and why totems are spiritual. They are spiritual animals and objects. Right, a quick definition here. A totem animal is an animal spirit that you call upon or invoke as an individual or a tribe for its special powers and survival skills to serve as a guardian or protector when facing adversity. Did you just hear the definition? You don't need any further explanation for me to tell you what a totem is. If you are Dube, if you are Ndlovu, if you are Moyo, if you are anything that you think you are, whatever totem you bear, just know it's spiritual. It's not as physical as you think. Here, again, an animal spirit that you call upon or invoke as an individual or a tribe for its special powers and survival skills to serve as a guardian or protector when facing adversity. So let me tell you the mystery behind totems. Our fathers, before the colonial era, they would protect themselves with animal spirits, not the physical animal. Forget about the physical animal. The animal spirit. Just let me ask you a question. Why do you think all the Chieras behave the same if it was just about a physical animal? The Madubes, they are known to behave the same. So this is a guardian or a protector in the family or in the clan or in the tribe that you call upon or invoke when you are facing adversity, when something is fighting with you. Whenever I would go to gather firewood, my grandmother would always appreciate me with a totem. But sometimes I was wondering if I was the one really being spoken to. Because she would go like, Maita Moyo, thank you Moyo. Chirandu gono, muswe tino pumisa, and pumise muswe. I don't use any tail for anything at all. Only Sango must do that. So when you are appreciating me as a Christian with that totem, what happens is that when somebody is appreciating you through your totem, they are thanking the spirit, your guardian spirit, that guided you and helped you find whatever that you've brought home. They are not thanking you physically. They are thanking the spirit behind you, your spiritual protector, your spiritual guider. That's why you see when witches want to bewitch you, they must know your totem, because they must first communicate and discuss with your protector and your guider. Otherwise, they can't attack. They have to seek a legal ground for them to attack. There are some families who are not even Christians, but they cannot be bewitched because the spirit that is behind them or does not allow or does not easily allow any witch or any spirit to attack the family. It is because of the covenant they have made with the family. You all know we came from one Adam. So where are all these totems coming from? It was only that one grandparent who went to see a Sangoma, or who was a Sangoma, who went to seek powers, who went to seek protection, and they were given that animal. Or when they were doing rituals, they used that animal. So when you kill that animal for your own ritual of protection, the spirit of that animal is going to be the one that protects your entire family. But it doesn't protect free of charge. It protects because there is a covenant. A covenant is an agreement between two parties where this party benefits and this party benefits. It's like a car tracker. A car tracker will tell you, okay, we'll protect your car, but give us money monthly. So these spirits, these totemic spirits that you are still invoking, or you are still calling yourself Gono, or you are still calling yourself whatever, as a Christian, you are still calling them back into your life to protect you. So God is a jealous God. He's not going to share you with somebody else. If you say you want to be protected by those spirits, He will leave you alone. God doesn't force you. So sometimes you are safe and nobody's bewitching you and your life is progressing and you do not know it's not God who is protecting you. Everything you are doing is flourishing. No wonder sometimes why Christians are more poor than the unbelievers. It's like the more you become a Christian, the more you become poor. But that is only when you are weak in the spirit. Not all the times. Why? Because you are rejecting that spirit, that protector. But with God, you are not doing exactly the principles that are required by God for you to gain from Him. Again, leaving those spirits, leaving the covenant, or breaking or breaching the covenant with those spirits, you can only break through God. But when you go to God, you are going to do again another covenant. Do you see the mystery? You are leaving a covenant of your fathers with that spirit animal. Now you are coming to Christ to get into another covenant that protects you. But there is again something that you must do for Christ. He's not just going to protect everybody. Of course, there are things that everyone can benefit, like rain, sun, and all that, oxygen and whatever. But there are special things that only believers get. It's like you, people who are subscribed to this channel. Every day I post a video, you will receive a notification. But those who are not subscribed will not receive a notification. So it is the same with that. So you can't seek to be protected by both your totem spirit and Jesus. Forget about it. It does not exist. You can't seek to be protected by both. Choose one. And these covenants that our fathers did with these spirits are the ones that are killing our family members every year. When our fathers went to the traditional healers, they were told, okay, we are going to give you this charm, or we are going to give you this protection in your family. They had agreements. The spirit said, okay, I'm going to protect your family. Nothing shall come near your family. But in return, I want your daughters as wives. That's why in your families, there is always those aunties who are not married, because they are being used as wives by that spirit animal, that totemic animal in your family. Some made agreements and said, okay, each and every year you are going to take a daughter or a son. But from the time the covenant was made, there is now many of you. Some of you are in Jamaica, some of you are in Australia, some of you are in Ghana. So whenever that spirit is taking, it may take your family member that is in Ghana that you do not even know. And when that happens, you cannot even trace it. So with your close family members, it may happen only once in 5 years. Of even relatives of yours that you do not know. It has been going around. So these animal spirits are not your friends. Let me tell you what I'm all about. I'm about my Father's business. And my Father is Jesus Christ. And I'm not going to be the one who preaches that prosperity gospel that tells you that follow me or send me money or this or that or this or that and I will bless you or you will be blessed by God. You will not hear that from me. I am dealing with sin and iniquity, taking away sin. For God is saying, I have hidden my face from you because of your iniquities, because of your sins. When God is talking about the sins of your fathers, these are some of them. Because this is pure idolatry without you knowing. People think idolatry is just going to a statue and bow down. No. Idolatry is invoking spirits in place of God. Or the time you were supposed to spend with God, you spend it with someone else, it may end up being idolatry. Do you know you can idolize your child? Loving your child more than God. God may strike that child because God is a jealous God. He will kill that other God before you. So back to the totems and back to the spiritual animals and back to what's happening in Zimbabwe. Mark my words, Zimbabwe is going to be back on its feet again. There is a revival coming. But for the godly, sin is increasing in Zimbabwe. Crime, guns, robberies, they will begin to increase. So all these animals you're seeing, a zebra, a rat, an eagle, a buffalo, and all these animals. I gave you an example as Shona people. Look at Vanachihera, Nana Madure, how they behave. Manjenjenje, Gandare Wasikana, they are clean, they are smart, some of them. Chihera, fighters. This tells you it's not just a physical thing. This is why you say, because you are Ndlovu, so you are my relative. Because you are Moyo, so you are my relative. Why? You will trace back to one father. It wasn't many fathers that says, okay, me, I'm going to be a lion. No. It was only one father who said, okay. When you went to a Sangoma, they said, okay, bring the fats of a lion, or bring a heart of a dog, or bring a heart of a goat. That's why they say you can't eat a heart. Why? Because you are eating that which your father went to the Sangoma with. How is it that God created fish? God created a buffalo. God created all these animals that you are told by your culture, by your totem, not to eat. They will tell you that your teeth are going to get rotten if you eat your totem. But God is the one who created these things. There is nothing like that in the Bible. The Bible does not say, don't eat this animal because it's your totem. No, it does not say that. There is no way. I know you will say, it's a culture. Do you know what is a culture? The word culture comes from cult. A cult is a belief, and beliefs come from spirits. Human beings cannot just come with beliefs without spiritual knowledge behind it. Because once it's a belief, which means you have to just believe without seeing or knowing it. So what makes you believe? It's the spirit behind. So by believing, you are having faith and hope in the unseen. So there's a saying that says, the best way to hide anything is to put it in plain sight. These things have been in your sight and you've not been seeing it for the rest of your life. You are proud to be Madube as a Christian. As literal as it sounds to you, yes, it sounds easy to be called Madube. It sounds easy to be called Mandlovu. Watch out. These are not physical animals. These are spiritual animals. That animal's spirit was used in a ritual. That's why it's so sacred to you. That bird you saw being brought back to Zimbabwe, there is something spiritual about it. Not the physical bird, but the spirit of that bird. When it was killed during the ritual, the spirit of that bird or a fallen angel became that bird or took the form of that bird. That's why you respect it so much. I told you, they can't spend millions, they can't spend thousands to only bring a stone back. It's not a stone. It's not. I know some of the Pan-Africanists will tell me that you are now rejecting what your fathers believed. It's only a belief. I chose to believe in Jesus. Jesus saved me from many things that my ancestors could not save me from. And when I'm talking about my ancestors, I'm talking about my dead relatives. They cannot save me, they are gone. If dead people could come back to life, let them come back and tell us where the gold is. I respect our ancestors that died. I respect everyone that has a family that died. But what I'm saying here, they will not help us. So don't be deceived by those who want you to believe in your ancestors, believe that your ancestors can help you. If they can do that, why do they have to wait for me to do something or to go through a Sangoma first for them to speak to me? Why can't they come straight to me? Why are they limited to come back to me? But anyway, that is a topic for another day. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We have had a beautiful night. With that, it is a goodbye from me.